So my name is Dr. Manrina Rhode. I am an aesthetic dental surgeon. Straight from graduating in 2002, I graduated from Guy's and I came straight into private aesthetic dentistry. So I've been doing that for 20 years. I was voted Dentist of the Year this year, so I feel like that's the pinnacle of my career so far. And just last year opened my dream clinic, DRMR clinic, which literally is all my dreams come true. Yeah, so I think motherhood's always an interesting one for me. I am turning 44 this month in March, and I've always wanted to have a child since I was a child. I look forward to being a mother, and that's not happened for me. So I think there's lots of interesting aspects with it. Obviously there's like hanging out with your friends. There's a show on Netflix called Motherhood, I think, and I was with some other dental colleagues the other day, and they were like, oh, you have to watch Motherhood, it's so brilliant, have you not seen it? And I was like, oh, I'm gonna go home and watch it tonight, and kind of put it on, and then was like, oh no, this isn't brilliant for me, I don't love it, I don't get it, and I don't, this isn't my experience. So it didn't even get through the first 10 minutes of the show. I started working with a dental business coach, and they said, oh, I've written a book about female principles, and as a female principal, as a new female principal, would you like to read that, and I'll send it to you? And I was like, yeah, that would be great. And I read it immediately. Like, I love to read, and I read the whole book in a day or in an evening, but it very much was about women managing their family lives and their businesses. And so I didn't feel like it was a book that was relevant to me. I'm not managing a family life alongside my business. If I think it would be really interesting if there was something in there about female psychology outside. I'm very interested to know how different a female principal is from a male principal, other than the fact that she feels guilt about not being at home for her children or cooking her husband dinner or whatever it was that these women were experiencing. And there probably are interesting psychological differences about the way you interact with men rather than women, but this book wasn't so much about that. So I was grateful, and I read it and I finished the whole thing, and so thanks for sending it over. But it was interesting that even though he knew that I didn't have children, he still sent me a book which was about female principals and why they struggled because of their family guilt. Yeah, so I've always been super career orientated, as you guys know. So from graduating, went straight into being the first dentist at Harvey Nichols, and then the first dentist at Harrods, and became a director of the BACD, and then now I'm a director of the BAPD. I judge a lot of your guys' awards. I'm an editor for a lot of your journals, and there's so many things, extracurricular things that I do outside of my daily job. And I do this Ask Dr. Manrina on my Instagram every Tuesday, and someone asked recently, what do you do to become a famous dentist like you? Like this term, like famous dentist. And I was like, it's not by chance. It is by pushing. I've been pushing for 20 years. As soon as I graduated, I started pushing every opportunity. I'm not paid for any of these opportunities that I have. All these extracurricular, sitting on boards, judging awards, editing journals, writing articles. I'm not paid for any of them. They're things that I do in my free time because it's important to me to represent women within our profession, to share the knowledge that I have. I think there's a lot of joy to be gained by sharing the knowledge I've gathered over the last 20 years, but all throughout my profession, and also to keep pushing. That's my personality. I want to keep doing more and pushing harder, and I'm being the very best that I can be. So my career has always been very important. But I found that as an associate, I was able to push really hard on my career and have these extracurricular activities, but still look after myself. And in my mind, I kind of want to say as an Indian woman, but I don't think it necessarily is my Indian upbringing. I think it's a lot of people's upbringing, that you're kind of brought up to believe that you get married and you have kids, and that's the way that your life pans out. And it's not that was enforced on me, and that's why I believe that needed to be my journey. that genuinely is the journey that I would like to have. I love being a wife. I was a wife, I'm now divorced, but I love being a wife. You know, when people look back and say to me, oh, now you're divorced, are you happier now? And I think, no, not really. I was really happy when I was married. Our marriage came to an end, and that's okay, and we both agreed on that, and we moved on. But it wasn't that it was something that was uncomfortable for me. It was something that I was really proud of. And having children, I'm massively nurturing. Anyone that knows me, it's probably why my patients like me so much, because I care about them. I want the best for everyone. I want the best for the people around me, for my loved ones, for my family. It's part of my personality to want to do things for people and to get a lot of joy from that. And so to be a mother, to me is obvious. Like, there's no way that I am going to go through my life and not be a mother. I've gone through this journey, and I've tried to have children, and for one reason or another, it's not happened for me. There's nothing wrong with me physically. I look at it and I'm able to conceive, but it's not happening. And maybe that's a whole new conversation about that journey that I've been through, or why I've got here. But obviously, adoption's also an option that's open to me. But just to go back to your question. So sorry, waffling on about all the things around motherhood. So working as an associate, pushing really hard, giving myself time to be my best self, and to also create that part of my dream, which was to be a wife and to be a mother, and to give myself time for that. When I was in a relationship, to give time to my partner without kind of being tired or being stressed. And it sounds a bit archaic to describe it like that, but it was important to me. It's what I saw in my parents, and it's who I wanted to be. And so I remained as an associate. Probably from the age of 25, I had all these ideas about this super clinic that I wanted to build, that's now here. And I started building those ideas. So now, at 44, so from 25, so for 19 years, I've been planning this clinic in my head, but not taken the step to move. But I hadn't previously taken the step to move from associate to principal, because when I spoke to my friends, my other dental friends who had bought their own clinics, about owning a clinic, they said to me, and to be fair, they're mostly men, they said to me, you've got a great life. Literally, this clinic is going to take over your life. Keep your life as it is. You've got a great salary, you've got a great life, you've got a great work-life balance, everything's in your favor, you're doing great in your career, you're doing great clinical work, you're really well respected. There's no need to have the hassle of a broken window, or electric's not working, or a staff member not turning up for work. Leave all that aside, focus on what you do, what you do really well. And I don't think it was incorrect advice. I think it was really caring advice, coming from a place of like looking at me and thinking, you've got your life sorted, just keep where you are. And then for me, also wanting to pursue those other parts of my life, of getting married and having a child. So I kind of kept that going, stayed as an associate until I hit 40. And then COVID hit, and everyone kind of had this big mindset change of like, am I living my best life? Am I doing everything that I've wanted to do in life? And I kind of realized that I needed to open my own clinic. I needed to open my own branded clinic. I had to put all those ideas that I had in my head onto paper. And I have ideas. You guys have seen videos of what I've created here. And it's not like a normal dental clinic. Not only is it a full body transformation clinic, but we have all the toys, and we have this beautiful patient journey. And I've literally thought of everything that over the last 20 years has come to mind. I've been able to put it into place here, and really taking the time and energy to do that. And so I kind of thought, I need to do it. And then I kind of thought, well, I've been through this journey of trying to have this child, and now, I started trying to have a child at 32 or 33, and then by then I'd hit 40. And so there's so many things to happen in those years in that process. And then kind of thought, how long do I put this off? I know that stress is a major factor in conceiving. And so now, as a 40-year-old woman who wants to have a child and still hasn't, do I want to add this added stress in my life, which I know is going to come because I've spoken to my friends who have got clinics, and they've told me that this unnecessary stress is coming and I don't need it. But then I also thought, if I leave it, and if I wait till 50 and then, potentially hit menopause and know that I can't have a child anymore of my own, then not that I can't adopt, but then at that stage do I open my clinic? Then what are my stress levels going to be like then at 50 trying to create this dream? And then will I feel annoyed that I left it so late? So kind of made a conscious decision during that sort of COVID time that I couldn't stop. I couldn't keep waiting. I couldn't keep waiting for Prince Charming. So Prince Charming to come. And by Prince Charming, I never wanted or needed a man to look after me financially. But by Prince Charming, I meant someone that could support me emotionally and potentially be a father of my child and hopefully have his own financial security and knowledge, so the two of us together as a power couple could move forward and build something really great with not having a single salary but having both salaries. And but I think by kind of 40 I thought, okay, I haven't got pregnant and I haven't got Prince Charming, and actually, Manrina, if there's a life that you want to build for yourself, you got to just go and build it. You can't sit around waiting for like, oh, you know, I always believed that if I push hard and I work hard, if I work out, my body looks, and eat well, my body looks great. Happens. If I push hard in dentistry and I put myself forward for things and I make the effort to write a lecture, write an article, agree to an interview, then I get better known and I build up my brand. You know, if I post on my Instagram, then my patients will see me and they will come to me. So in life, I feel like the harder you work, you get your reward for it. Like when people say, you know, it's not luck, it's hard work. That's it. That's exactly what it is. I pushed and I pushed and I pushed and I push because I see results. But unfortunately, in this other part of my life, that's not something that you can control. You can have life coaching and be the calmest, you know, most peaceful person to be around. You can have a personal trainer and you can have your six-pack and the most perfect body that anyone could imagine. You can spend time eating well, all these things that you can do to what you imagine would be a perfect mate for this person, but you still can't predict who's going to come in your life and if they're going to stay and the way things are going to work out, and if you're going to end up fall pregnant with them or not. So I think that I put things off long enough. I put them off till I got 40, and then it was just like, you know what, this is also something that's really important to me. I'm not waiting anymore. I still would love to meet the right person to be my life partner. I would still love to be a mother of a child. I think at the beginning of this interview I said to you, oh, my beautiful clinic, all my dreams come true, and immediately something sparked in my head and I thought that you just said something false, because that isn't all your dreams come true, because that dream definitely includes a baby in there, and just push ahead, and I still want those things, but I couldn't put my life on hold anymore waiting for them. Yeah, so I think a lot of people ask me about my clinic separate from my personal life, like, oh, how do you feel now you've done it? And my answer is always kind of like, oh, you probably should have done it earlier. And it's what my patients say all the time when I do their smile makeover, and then they just say, the only thing is I wish I'd done it earlier, you know. And so you don't ever regret, you know, doing something more for your life. And maybe if I'd done it in my 20s, then everything would be more established, and then I would have had time in my 30s to. Maybe my journey would have been the same, and maybe I would have or maybe I needed to go through this journey. I don't think I would have been able to build something like this if I'd opened my clinic any sooner. I think I needed those 20 years behind me to really know what created something like this. So maybe that's fine. So I don't like to have regrets, and I don't think I have any regrets. I think everything happened at the right time, but I don't think I could have waited anymore. I also feel like it was time. I think advice for younger women, maybe freeze your eggs. A lot of my friends froze their eggs at about 35 when they suddenly realized they were single at 35, and they were nervous about conceiving, but the thing is, by 35 also already your eggs are not as good a quality as they are in your 20s, unfortunately, and so then when they came to use them in their 40s, they weren't ideal eggs to create these embryos with, and to be fair, if anyone had told me at 25 to go and, you know, invincible 20-something year olds to go and freeze my eggs, I would have been like, yeah, all right, I'm going to spend whatever 5-10 grand and go through hormone injections and all of that for something that may or may not even happen. You know, it's definitely not on your radar. But with hindsight, if you could look back, and there's a lot of big companies right now supporting their staff that if they want to go, like, and I don't know if it's Facebook and Google or which companies it was. I was reading an article about that, supporting their staff, that if they wanted to go and freeze eggs, then they would support that. Yeah, I mean, that's something that I think is not spoken about enough, and is really valuable. Yeah, so I think when I was trying to conceive, I still am, but yeah, my family and my friends are amazing. I'm really well supported. My mum is amazing. People who follow me on Instagram will just message and be like, how's your mum? Because everyone knows she's amazing. She's this very intelligent, powerful woman who says all the right things, and would do anything. I know she would do anything for me, and so she's really been there with me through this journey. So yeah, I felt very supported. Yeah, it's definitely been emotional. I think I'm not very good at showing vulnerability generally in life, but there definitely have been times through this that when you get your period, when you're trying, and then initially it would really upset me, and now it's been going on so long that I think I'm okay with it. I've been trying for 10 years, and so at some point you got to stop. Being through periods of not eating sushi, not drinking coffee, not drinking alcohol, just in case, what if I'm pregnant this month? I don't want to do everything I can to make sure. And then at some point, yeah, and I think what's difficult with that is having been through this journey and changed so much of my life for this baby that's not here, that then when you talk to people and they make comments like, I had one of my friends made a comment last week, saying, oh well, Manrina, this clinic is taking over my life. I love her, but she's a bit of a beast. She literally is all consuming, and people, I can call her my baby, and she's and some people say it's I was at the London Dental Fellowship dinner last month, and I said to these two dentists sat next to me, they were male dentists. But I said, okay, you've had kids and you've opened a clinic, which one's harder? And they were like, opening the clinic's much harder. So, she's all consuming DRMR clinic. And so my friend said to me, oh, well, Manrina, you're still trying to conceive, and do you think it was the right decision to open a clinic like this? Because you really should be keeping your stress levels down. And I just kind of looked at him and I thought, oh, I've been trying for 10 years. How long was thank you for your advice. How long did you want me to wait? My whole life? At some point, if this baby's supposed to come in my life, then he or she will come, regardless of DRMR clinic. And I built this clinic, keep making space for them for when they come. That area can be transformed into a creche, and this is how it would work as and when the baby comes into my life. So I don't think we should ever avoid topics, and I'm definitely a super open person, as everyone knows, and I wouldn't want anyone to feel like they couldn't ask me directly about anything that they wanted to, and then it's my choice how I answer it. But I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a sensitive topic, whereas I think normally I'm quite good at communicating with people, and when they ask me something, answering that for them. I think this is probably the only topic that you could ask me about something, this and potentially my father passing away. This is also a very emotional topic, but those two topics that you could bring, and it could almost bring a tear to my eye immediately, and you could be like, whoa, I just asked you a question and didn't mean to and so I don't think that means that people shouldn't talk to me about it. I don't think that means that my friend shouldn't have given me his advice last week. I just think that normally advice like that, like someone saying to me, oh, should you have opened this clinic then, would have just been a conversation. I'd be like, yeah, and that would be the end of it. But it's because it's such a sensitive topic that I don't think it's that other people need to change. I think they just maybe need to accept that it can be quite emotional for some people. I think that's all good and well, that those women, and I have friends who don't want children, and absolutely, that's their choice, and that's absolutely fine. That's not who I am, and I don't like any sort of assumption to be made about me, but also there's that whole, but also I feel like I am a powerful woman, and I don't want people to feel sorry for me, and that can also be the reaction of, which is maybe why I wouldn't want to talk about this or appear vulnerable about this, because I'm good, my life is good, so I don't think, that, yes, I don't have a child, which I would very much like to have, but I will have a child. If I don't conceive naturally, I will adopt. And so, I'm going through my journey, and that's okay. And so sometimes, when it's just like, that kind of pity, although it is a sensitive topic, is maybe worse than just being like, okay, that's your choice, and that's where you are, or not even your choice, that's where you are in life, and that's okay. I think that really conventional life model of getting married, staying married forever, having 2 children, it's going to become, it's dated. It's a shame because it's beautiful. Is it beautiful, or do we think it's beautiful because it's what we know and what we were brought up to believe is beautiful? But regardless, it's still beautiful in our minds, or in my mind, because that's what I was brought up with, that thought of that's the fairy tale ending. But it's changing. Look at divorce rates. Look at how many people are having trouble conceiving. Look at how many people who are married who are happily married. Like, that in itself is difficult to find. And so I think our mindset needs to change with that as well, and just kind of accept, that's it. Society is changing, and we are, just as with so many things, transgender issues or sexuality or all of that our mindsets need to change, and just realize that times are changing. Yes, I think I've been conscious about, I think because of my upbringing, the way that my parents are, they're very positive people who are just like, you go and do it, you can do it. It's like, and so I've kind of been brought up in that environment, and so I'm the same. And so, but I've nurtured that throughout my life. So, I remember being on holiday when I was at university with my best friends used to come on holiday, on my family holidays with us, because they were like part of the family. And I remember us sitting there reading 5 Habits of Highly Successful People, someone, R. Covey, I think it is. And so we were 21 and we were on holiday, and God knows where my parents had taken us, Thailand or wherever we were, at the pool, and all reading, that was our holiday reading, And as a friendship group, we're like that. I remember then we brought Emotional Intelligence and the books that have passed. I'm reading this now. My best friend just there's a book, I think it's called Regenerative Leadership or something, and she was like, you need to read this book. She'll just buy them and get them sent to my house. And so there's always, I like to read. She likes audiobooks, I like to read, and I like to read fiction and non-fiction, but they'll always be both going at the same time. And so the non-fiction will be something either to do with business development now, but that's a new thing for me. But it's always been about life development and mindset, and making sure, because it just I think keeps you on track and keeps you moving in the right direction. And then also my downtime, which is with my fiction. Yeah, so my mom is amazing. She's amazing. My father had his first heart attack when I was 8, and he went on to have 7 heart attacks and 4 quadruple bypass surgeries. And so when he had his first heart attack when I was 8, we were told that he would pass away. So we were told to come and say goodbye to him, and he lived until I was 40. So but it meant that my mom had to look after us all. My dad couldn't work for a long while, and then he had to take an easier job than what he was doing before. So my mom is a maths professor by trade, but she was working full-time as a maths professor and tutoring students, and then she was wrapping presents in Alders. So my mom had 3 jobs, and she was a maths professor, but then she would shoot all day, shoot in the evenings, and then do late night wrapping presents at Alders. And sometimes her students would come in to get their presents wrapped, and their professor would be wrapping their presents. And I didn't really realize at the time what was going on. We went to a private school and then a grammar school. We live in a beautiful house, and we went on great holidays. So I didn't never think anything about our life until I look back on it now and think, wow, look at my mum's work ethic, and look at the fact that she never complained about it even once to make my dad feel bad that he was unwell, which of course you wouldn't to someone you love so much, or to us to make us feel bad or make us feel like we were missing out on anything. She just worked as much as she could and fed us and looked after us, and I never look back and think my mum wasn't around. She was around, but she was working 3 jobs. So she spent working as a maths professor in college. She was around young people, but like teenagers, or older teenagers, like 16 to 18, for most of her career. And so she had a really good understanding about young people's mindsets and all the things they were going through. But yeah, she's just very cool. She works out more than me, and I love to work out. Like, she works out 5 days a week. She's got a great group of friends. She goes to jazz clubs, and she's always checking out cool restaurants. And she's not, even after my dad's passed away, she's not letting her life stop. Like, she's like, okay, this really sad thing's happened, and he was the love of my life. But okay, what do I need to do now in my life? Because we need to live our lives. We can't just exist. How do I live my life? Okay, these are the things I want to do. I'm going to do them. So yeah, she's a brilliant role model. Of course, she is the ultimate role model. So yeah, I'm a part of the Women's Dental Network. I've lectured for them in the past, and they're a great organisation. I think it's created by Linda Greenwald, who's also another iconic female dentist. And yeah, lots of great dentists involved in that. You'll know a lot of names involved, and really supportive. Got WhatsApp group, Facebook group, meetings. So yeah, that's a great organisation.